transferring our webcam signals from Southwest US to presumably, I guess, like Sweden or something like that is naturally an endeavor that is difficult to pull off. But we are loaded in. We are ready to kick off our next series. We've got in the bottom left the red Zerg. He is Vanya.
And in the top right-hand side of the map, we have DnS. What does DnS stand for? Does anyone know?
Okay, I only have one nerdy answer. The DNS is like a technical term for like a router configuration, right? It's like a domain name system, I think, or something like that. But it basically has to do with the way that your router would query for an internet ping or request. Like when you open up starcraft2.com, like you know that would your DNS server would determine the routing somewhat, I think. I'm not even like an expert on that, honestly, but yeah, if your DNS server goes down, your internet could be working, but you actually won't be able to ping anything. Surprise, surprise. But that's all I got. That's all I got. CSC exclamation point. Last I heard, CSC was Cascade. Is that Team Cascade still?
That is Team Cascade.
They have an exclamation point now, so I don't know. They leveled up, or someone jacked their old tag.
No, I think they've had an exclamation point. I think they've never been Cascade. I think they've always been Cascade.
Well, me forgetting something crucial for a cast is not that surprising. But Cascade, they've been around for a very long time. I remember, I think one of the earliest players I saw with them was Kost, I think, right? He might still be with them.
He might be Cascade, yeah.
Yeah, and Vanya, I don't know what B100 SC though is. I don't know. Like B top 100? I good clan name, I guess. I'm not 100% sure.
Not sure. Not
trying
sure
to do my due diligence.
Yeah, that would
trying to be a good caster and give these clans their shout outs for supporting these teams because they're awesome.
They are awesome players. I'm not sure. This could be a sponsor as well. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is.
That's fair. That's fine.
But we have the...
That's what Special needs, by the way. I'm just waiting for the day we just introduce Special as like, you know, like he just needs to get sponsored by Doritos at this point. Just get it over with.
Seriously, what's up with that? Like, if
how does that not happen? How have we as a community failed to will that into existence through
I am not sure. I really am not sure. I thought, you know, I would have predicted by now, like if I was to jump 3 years into the future 3 years ago, this would be one of the things that I would have expected for sure to happen.
It solves so many problems. He's got a stable org to be with. And then, you know, he brings the meme to life, right? Don't let your memes be dreams. Speaking of, we do have the Stargate in the main base for DNS. So it's going to open up possibly with a couple of oracles, possibly with the Phoenix. Whenever Roddy's in chat, weird stuff happens with Phoenix. So I don't know anymore. But we've got a 3-base setup here for Vanya. And is there anything in particular that he's looking for then? If do you think Vanya believes himself to be like the favorite player in this matchup?
I would say so. I think that he expects himself to start performing at the highest levels. I mean, he can compete with the likes of Cyril and Raynor in the sense that he can give him games, sometimes even series, right? Like I think he's the favorite, quite honestly. That's why we predicted him to win. So I think he should probably feel the same way. If he doesn't, then he has a problem with the self-esteem. You need to know and feel that you can win to even play at this type of tournament.
Yeah. So that gives me a little bit of confidence then in the prediction, honestly, because I've been doing the EPT Europe Cups to try and like stay up to date on a lot of these players, but somehow Vanya has slipped under my radar of players that I've been able to cover their matches of. So I think with the changes recently for PVZ, do you feel that that's had a big impact for Protoss players? Like getting that shield battery down at your third or at your natural when you get Ling flooded, like does it have the impact that players are looking for in your experience?
Not so much. I think the matchup hasn't changed too much. What it does do is it kills players like Bly to some degree. Well, maybe not kill Bly. I haven't seen Bly's CVP since. But that type of very aggressive style where you try to break Protoss very early on is a lot worse. I think because now you need Ravagers. So you need to be able to at least bile it down.
Okay, that's kind of in the vein of what I was.
That's huge.
What I was thinking, I guess. These Lings trying to poke the front there on that Adept, trying to get through a little bit. Oracle not able to accomplish too much.
He did a lot.
With the stasis trap in the main base, actually. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's what I was
nice,
saying was big. Yeah,
that queen's in like a very
huge
derp
card.
animation for me, by the way. The queen got like frozen mid-attack animation.
Yeah, so for all the hype and love that we've been throwing Vanya's way, this is a very nice start for the French player here.
Into double Stargate, by the way. So we're gonna see.
Love it.
We're gonna see those Phoenix.
You'd say you called it.
Yeah. Well, this, we'll call it the workout match then, because there's a lot of lifting to be done here, Paolo, as the Lings are going to try and poke this third base, but plenty of adepts thus far, and then the shield battery, right? But it cupped next to the pylon. Can he defend against this? Looks like there's a decent bit of surface area, but okay, the Oracle showing up should definitely shoo them away.
Yeah, he didn't quite tuck himself in that pylon at to start off as well as he could have. So I was a little bit nervous, but yeah, this I bet Roddy would change his prediction right now. When he sees this many Phoenix, he can't go against them, right? I think that it must be an honor code type thing. Banelings though.
Wow. I mean, the fact that both pylons are even still alive, I'm like, I guess he could try to warp something in last minute, but he gets the sentry while the adepts try to come over and help defend against this. And with that surround kills all of the adepts, that force field is actually expired. So the Lings are going to try to start running through. They have a great surface area on the cybernetics core, very crucial piece of tech. The Oracle's batteries are about to run out, and when Phoenix have to come home and start lifting up Zerglings, well, I tell you what, I've seen this movie, and it's got a very, very sad ending for the Protoss player if they cannot stabilize this wall.
Yeah, but he might just be able to, just because, the Banelings are good to pick up, and without Banelings, the Zerglings are going to struggle to kill this wall. They're really slow. They rely on surface area. If we can get some adepts out, these Oracles are crucial. I think DnS is holding, honestly. It's close. It's close for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of an awkward situation, though, as the Lings now make their way up north. So he overcharges the shield battery, but with this many Zerglings, there's just too much to cover. He sends the rest of the Banelings through the wall, and now it looks like DNS's economy is completely open to be ravaged by Vanya.
Yeah, that was a bad prioritization by DNS, in my opinion, because he attacked the Banelings morphing with the Oracle, where I think the Oracle should have just chased the Lings onto his third. The Oracle's much better at killing Lings, and Phoenix are much better at killing Banelings because, the lift makes the lift off a lot more valuable as well. So I think he swapped those, where he went for after the Zerglings with the Phoenix and stayed to deal with the Banelings with the Oracle. That was not great, but yeah, nice job by Vanya.
Yeah, very, very well done. Did a great job of exploiting the opening there. And we were even having a little bit of trouble there following it with between the Lings poking that third base, the Banelings busting into the natural. It's hard too, especially because you don't think about, or at least in my mind, you don't think about that as much on that map, because Eternal Empire is known for being such a good defensive map, at least. But we're going to go to Pillars of Gold for game number 2. Any thoughts on this map for PVZ? I personally feel like the third base is a little bit harder to take on it, but obviously not necessarily my area of expertise, Cats.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty normal, mostly map, but yeah, the third area is a little bit open on the low ground for Protoss, so that should be a little bit troublesome for them. Otherwise, a pretty normal map, not a particularly long rush distance either. So we will have to wait and see. I think that, I don't know, Vanya looks really scary, man. I didn't know he was this versatile a player.
Yeah, I mean, usually when I see a lot of Zerglings against Protoss, like, especially when they go for something like double Stargate, the Oracles always seem to be able to like clean everything up. The Zerg doesn't want to commit, but you talk about confidence and thinking that you can win or that you're better, but Vanya straight up morphed almost all those Banelings after the initial bust, literally like right underneath the Oracles and the Phoenix. Like he just had no fear. He knew he had enough, and he believed that there was no way, right, that DNS was going to be able to stop him if he just committed at that exact time. Just really well done, very decisive.
Yes, indeed. Very, very well done. And I mean, those Banelings actually absorbed a lot of the fire from that Oracle as well. So in a way, they were the best play given the circumstances. I don't know, man, because I like the fact that he's willing to go for Ling Bane aggression. That is so difficult to pull off against Protoss. Like, it's not something that you can plan on. It's more something that you're looking at your opponent and they keep making adepts and you haven't seen a sentry and there's no sentry, and the longer it gets, the less likely that they're going to make a sentry. And you know what? Why not at a Baneling nest? And amazing job there by Vanya.
Very well done. And he is our red Zerg in the northeast. It is Vanya. The camera can't leave his base till we get the funky beats.
True that. Will we find the correct internetial routing? It is DNS. Will he find the route to a victory?
And hopefully won't get the DNS error searching for a build that can win this game. Because you get that very fast probe scout up to it's kind of block where that natural hatchery would go. Vanya says, okay, that's fine. I'll take the low ground base, whatever. And now we wait to see for DNS. He's got the gateway finishing at the front of that wall. He does have an assimilator running now.
I gotta say,
like, there's
Nate,
no way he doesn't just wait for the Nexus, right?
That was
like,
so Terran of you, Nate. That was borderline insensitive. You think it's more, Vanya's more like, okay, I guess I'll take that base.
I guess I'll just take that base, yeah. Well, Zerg player can't be on one base. Like, Zerg one base is, I don't even know. I don't even have a joke for it. That's how, you know, that's how silly it is. Unless it's Bly and then you win and then you're like, okay, well, okay. Bly can win on one base as a Zerg player. Nobody else can, which generally speaking is true.
Indeed. It just never feels good to take a not your natural base as a Zerg player. So it's a little bit uncomfortable for Vanya. We'll see what the follow-up is. It's not uncommon for Vanya, though, I'm sure. All of these Protoss players are going to be as dirty as possible, especially on a large stage.
I guess I just feel like I've seen so many pylon blocks in my life that I'm like, Zerg players just have this thing in their head where they just know, where they're like, okay, I guess I just have to take the other base. Not that they want to, of course. I didn't mean to imply that, but you know, you just kind of like, you're like, it's like when you step outside and you're like, all right, I guess I got to deal with it being negative 10 degrees, right? You know, and I have to wear an extra layer. He does have the drum go down to that
or 80 or 100 degrees in your case.
Or 100 degrees, yeah. Hey, you know, it says it's only going to be 98 high today. Only 98, so I might be able to go out for a walk when the sun sets. We'll see. We'll see, though, you know. Shoes could still melt to the ground. There's the Stargate again, by the way.
Yeah, Stalker opening is very uncommon here on the side of DNS when going for a Stargate. Because usually the Stargate follows or starts with a Phoenix, and then you can just clear the Overlords. So the Stalker is kind of serving a double purpose here, or overlapping in purpose, I should say, to where it's gonna shoo away the Overlord that the Phoenix is then gonna kill. So then why do you have a Stalker, right?
Does he want him to think that he's hiding something, and that's why he built the Stalker?
It's quite, yes, you're actually.
Is it like a mind game?
Yeah, because now looking at the vision of Vanya, he doesn't know where the Stargate is, right? Or does he? No, he knows.
I was gonna say,
yeah, so, I mean, there's no mind game there then. Yeah, that's just the thing. When the Overlord sees that Stargate, it's kind of pointless. But otherwise, I think you would be onto something here, because if he doesn't know that it's a Stargate, if you're Vanya, you would account for not anything but a Stargate, seeing a Stalker.
And maybe it's at the 300 IQ plays. The Oracle, yep, okay, he's going to have to burn the energy to save the Adepts here. I was going to say, maybe it's a little 300 IQ action where he says, if you Bane bust my natural again, I'll have a Stalker there instead of an Adept or a Zealot. So I need a few more Banelings to get through. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm really trying here.
Yeah, I mean, not a huge skull. It wasn't like his first unit, I guess. You know, there was an Adept beforehand, so either way, the Adepts are going to try and poke into the natural. Nothing much happening other than that for this game so far. A Twilight Council on the way, as well as a Robo.
So is he going to try and transition into something a little more vanilla, something that we're more used to? I guess becomes the big question, since clearly we've seen a lot of skill coming out of Vanya here, but he does get the Queen picked off by the two Oracles, and the Spore Crawler is not in range to protect the drones mining this gas. So a little bit of free farm here for DNS.
Oh, wow, and saves the Oracle as well. Jeez, that was a lot of damage, actually. These Lynx will not find their way in. And yeah, I mean, very nice by DNS. He is a little bit late to the third base, I would say, but it doesn't matter too much now that he's done this damage and that he's taking so aggressively as well, right? So he's going to be going into charge, adding additional 4 gateways. He's also adding a Templar Arc. Oh la la.
Okay. Well, I feel like DNS really needs to, like, He really needs to see that this is happening because he has a robo. He built a prism.
He's seen it.
But he needs immortals and God knows what else. Shield batteries galore because it looks like everything's coming. We got the March of the Penguins. The Queens are making their way across the map, Cats.
It's a short rush distance. I mean, I can see it from that perspective. Ravagers are going to be good in the choke, but really, I mean, DnS not really taking a third. I think this is a pretty good situation for him. I think he's on 2 base. His charge is going to be done by the time this attack hits. He's going to have a couple of immortals. Hopefully, he works in a few sentries, but it's looking good to equalize here.
Good save on one of the Ravagers, I will say, by Vanya, as that's one of those resources for helping to break through this. Those biles do so much damage potential. Every single Ravager that he loses on the way to that base is worth its weight in gold. And he actually says, I think he's given up on this. Yeah, starts the lair, Evo chamber, drones. Queens are heading home.
I mean, that's the right call. At least ultimately he delayed the third for a long time. Has he been injecting? No, right? No. So this was never a fake or something like that where you expect your opponent will see you pop out queens, but behind that maybe he was making queens planning for this. No, he just decided this is not going to work. Maybe not enough Ravagers after getting picked off by the oracles.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly presents opportunity for DnS, though. He has the 3 oracles that can shark around the map, sees those lings, but if he feels confident in defending his third base, he's got a prism and charge researched for his zealots to get to the hacking and whacking and smacking on the other side of the map.
This is a brilliant position for him. He's got to be really happy. These sentries were made defensively, so that is the one thing that Vanya got out of this. Those sentries did not want to be made, but DnS all in all with a very, very nice position. Good war prism in the main of Vanya's. He moves with the oracles on the map as well, so we'll see what they can accomplish in turn.
Tries to reposition the spore, but it actually gets body blocked by the zealots for a little bit of time. And the oracles are actually going to come in to supplement this attack since the spore is not here, and he killed one of the queens. So 1, 2 down, and the third queen trying to fall back to the natural, but still able to get, I think, one of the other Ravagers there too.
Yeah, really nice job prioritizing here in this instance by DnS. We criticized him for it last game. This time around, he was perfect with those oracles, swapping between the queens and the Ravagers as they went in and out of range.
Yeah, really good control actually here out of DnS. He kept the prism alive in the midst of all of this as well. 7 overlords in production to get Vanya out of this block. He's like, I don't want to build overlords anymore this game. Get it out of the way since he can't build anything else. But you know what, Cats? You know what comes back to mind though? You mentioned this, the injects, right? Like the third base isn't really injecting. I don't think the main is anymore. He had the queens out on the map, didn't really rebuild them, and only just now is starting to add more again because of those losses. So Vanya's ability to produce units has been hurt pretty significantly by the way that this game has gone.
Most definitely. Lucky for him, Ravagers are some of the most larva efficient units that you could possibly get. They're 200 resources each, right? So lucky for him, he's able to more or less spend most of his money, but he's not going to be able to have, like, say, a lot more links than these. If he loses these, he can't really replace that ability to be out on the map and do counter damage.
Yeah, and we have quite a few Immortals and Archons coming down to fight, which means those Roaches won't be very useful. So everything being put on the back of the Ravagers while you still have even the Oracle coming forward to give that extra little bit of pressure. Love the Morphing Ravagers to block those Zealots from reaching the other Ravagers.
Beautiful.
But Cats, I mean, you've got 4 Immortals alive with a Prism inside of your opponent's base. And without anything like a big splash of Banelings to crack down on those Zealots, they're going to provide a mighty beefy shield. The third base is going to get picked off, but DnS has the potential to close it out here if he can make this push work.
He should be able to. I wouldn't even bother with the third here. Just go up the natural. I mean, what are you going to kill here? A hatchery and allow your opponent a potential possibility of holding? Nah, yeah, okay. He realizes that he's going to just wait for the last warp in and move up this ramp. I think DnS has plenty here. He knows it. And this was a beautiful game by him.
Yeah, this is really well done. I mean, this Archon Immortal charge lot is not something that's going to be battened down by a handful of Roaches and Ravagers. Unfortunately, just not enough for Vanya. And DnS is going to give us a game that goes 1-1, Cats. I didn't think it was possible, but here we are.
Yeah. Okay, we're well, everything you say to me, Nate, takes me one step closer to the edge. And before we come back, I'm about to break.
Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a quick break before game number 3. When we return, more StarCraft 2 here at the DreamHack Masters. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nathanius, joined by Katz here for the DreamHack Masters StarCraft 2. We are going to game 3. That's right. You heard me correctly, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a tied series here between Vanya and DnS. And we finally all get to be wrong about who we think is going to take it, or at least score-wise. We had a couple 2-0 predictions and one weird 3-0, but we're loading into it. And DnS,
hey, I did 2-1. I did 2-1.
Fighting spirit, Katz.
I did 2-1. I did 2-1.
You're too smart for me. You got me.
But let's see what we got here. It is this Death Aura map. I'm not a fan of the aura of death under the next.
The reverse bubulas.
I'm not sure
the thing under the main base. Oh yeah.
Sure what's up with that? Yeah. I don't like it.
Well, it's under his Nexus. It's giving him a bit of a glow here, like we're at a nightclub. He is DnS.
Maybe that's what's sending out the signal.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the green arrow probably has his base under there, like that's kind of vibes I'm getting. There's a secret elevator under this hatchery as well.
Yeah, this hatchery just has no business with it. It is Vanya. The Nexus, I can see it, And blocked once again. So very nice job. Very diligent by DnS with the probe blocks.
I wanted to ask about it last game, but things got a little bit crazy. How did you feel about is it part of the strategy or something that the lair ended up being on the third base? Because I always think about exposed tech, but it does give the base more hit points. You get 500 extra hit points for being a lair versus a hatchery. So was he doing it to hold there, or I don't know. I'm just curious what you'd have to say about that.
More likely than not, it was something of the effect of I need a lair right now, but I'm making a queen in the main or something like that. Something got thrown off at some point where the hatchery was being in use and you wanted a lair before or something like that is most likely, I think, the case. To next level to make the lair at the third. I think I've seen Serral do a lair at the natural before. The third is so exposed. It's easy, it's the easier base to lose. It's just, yeah.
That actually makes more sense, though. You saying it like that, I think actually makes it easier to get because he needed to build queens, right? the queens were out on the map, or they were getting sniped multiple times over. So I can definitely see how if he's like, oh God, I need to rebuild my queens, but then he's like, oh, I need the hatch I need a lair, right? So sometimes
imagine your queen is like 75% done and you want a lair. Do you wait 25% done for a queen, or do you just make a lair somewhere else, right?
Yeah, especially because you're gonna have to think about it again then, right? And then it takes more actions and
exactly attention. Yeah, you just want to get it done with. Sometimes that's the easiest way to allocate your attention. Oftentimes, maybe not do the best possible thing and work towards the best possible thing as you enhance your play, but just solve whatever problems you can think of, because there's too many to solve. So if you can think of them, get to them a lot of the time.
Yeah. Attention is that incalculable resource that I think, especially the more you play StarCraft, the more you realize how valuable it is to be able to, check a box off and not have to think about it anymore. Yeah. Because when your muscle memory is good and, your build order ends up kind of being like a lot of automated almost, like especially like on the Terran side of things, like what you have to do and you kind of program yourself to do it over and over again. But yeah, I guess that's also a part of the probe block, right? At the start of the game is you're kind of forcing Vanya to think a little bit more about what he has to do and possibly change what his original plan might have been.
Yeah, and thinking takes time and effort, and it's slower than not thinking, right? If you just have a mechanized approach, if you're just sure of what you want to do, then it's a lot easier. That's where things like the laser overlords happen, right? Like Hydra has also been a player that won multiple championships, and when he wanted to make overlords, sometimes he just made a lot of overlords, because then you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really, really good point to bring up, because I think people are curious. Like, well, he obviously can't spend enough resources to max out, but not having to think about not even being able to be supply block, right? Just kind of smooths everything out for the rest of the game, really. Obviously, unless you lose a bunch of them, but
yeah,
it's fun to do a little deep dive on the psychological part with you cats.
Same, Nate. I always enjoy this with you. There is a Robo on the way now. 2 oracles. So he waited for the 2 oracles to move out. Oh, but he'll get spotted. This is heartbreaking a little bit. That very nicely positioned circling will catch wind of the 2 oracles. And this is otherwise so difficult, right? Because you get such a small window, and then there's usually like, say, 1 or 2 queens and a spore, but you can just micro and leverage the oracle's HP. But because they got spotted, look at all the repositioning on the side of Vanya. And instead, DnS very smartly is going to take a different angling and not go to the expected location. Will it pay off?
Yeah, he's got those adepts kind of stuck in the speed zone while the oracles continue to shark around, but he's forced to use the recall there. The queens, the spore, doing a great job of blocking. He's got, he loses one of them. Well, that was about as bad as it could have gone. That oracle had about almost like half of its energy available. A pretty unfortunate loss there.
We're talking about attention. That's exactly what's going on. 2 things going on at once. You can only look at one place, and we see sloppiness on either side. Getting stuck on the fast zones is not something that we hear every day.
Yeah, that's one of those weird things. I mean, I feel like they're very small, and they're not actually in the direct path if you open the rocks in the mid game. So I don't know. I actually have almost had no interactions take place in any of my. I hardly see anything happen.
What? If anyone knows this, it might be you. Do you actually morph faster in the fast zones? Like, is that a use?
No.
Can I morph my rabbit? Okay, well.
No, unfortunately. The biggest use I can think of it is if you do like a cheese where you float a building through, like for vision, like Cyclone Rush, or Overlords for Zerg, right? Like you obviously might consider pathing them through there, I guess. I don't know if that's
right away, but the angling, it's not. Like the first thought that I had was that Overlords for Zerg. And if you just look at the distancing and the path that you have to deviate for it, even if you teleport it through the fast zones, I think it wouldn't be enough to justify. Because you catch one fast zone on the way to your opponent's base regardless with an Overlord.
Yeah. So and then you have to correct course, and it's just it takes more time.
Yeah.
No, it's a fair point.
So it's I wish they were bigger or something. It's just too safe for the map design, but understandable since it's the first time they've been introduced.
I think it's a pretty fair way to implement something new, right? Like use it in a way where it can't be decisive, and that kind of lets people have a less biased look at it, right? Because usually when we implement something like that into the game, there's like one meme game where someone abuses it, and then everyone's like, "Oh, this is terrible, get it out," blah blah. But that thankfully isn't something that's happened with this. So
It
gives a little more time to explore how they could be used.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to see any memes from this one. And I like the memes, though.
Oh, yeah, me too. Well, we're going to have burrow memes, so we've got that going for us, which is nice. Good amount of roaches. And then the spire behind it.
There's also a Templar Archives finishing on the side of DNS. So we'll see what that brings to the table. The spire could be nifty here. Vanya does have something like 700 gas banked up, so I would not be surprised to see a little bit of a Muta switch, but it could turn sour if, say, you start making Mutas and DNS starts crossing the map. This is good.
Oh boy, what is here? He's warping cannons, but it's time to play that song. It is just a little too late. These roaches are going to pop up without too much to stop them. There isn't a Mortal almost finishing in the natural.
Yeah, and the recall, if you notice, the army of DNS that was out on the map got recalled to the third to deal with a small run-by, which means there's no way that it can be recalled to the main in order to deal with a larger threat here. So, oh man, this was terrible for DNS. What a move.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it, right? He gets 13 probe kills. I think a pylon or two. He's still got some roaches embedded in those bases, trying to spread them out. The Oracle has to use Revelation to get a lot of these kills, but also
he didn't get all of them. And there's no Observer. There's an Immortal on the way.
He forced the recall too, like you were saying. Yeah. So that's a timer on that, and it stops the push. It looks like there's something going on in the main base of Vanya. Like I think the Prism might have been able to slip in or something, but 7 drones killed. But I mean, Vanya's maxed out. And I mean, he might kill his own evolution chamber, but I don't think it will cost him the game, Cat.
No, it wouldn't. When will it stop? What HP do you think the evolution chamber will stop being chipped at?
400, I'll say.
I'll say
I don't know. How much health do evo chambers even have?
I have no idea. That's why I just said it, guys. All right,
the roach is on burrow in the main.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Vanya needs to even do this, but he's doing it. And he has a really nifty position with this Ravager, seeing as how there's a choke. But he has to be really careful. If this roach is in the front fall, the Ravagers will be easy pickings for, say, reinforcing charge slots. Now roach is reinforcing 2.
And then the nail in the coffin, I guess, the follow-up that he's looking for to try and seal the deal here. We do have the Mutalisks coming out, as that fire completed a while ago. So now you've got burrowed roaches in your base and mutas in your face. Evolution chamber, 108 health. Thank you, our wonderful observer, for checking back on that.
100?
108. Well, with regen, he may have stopped a little bit lower, but you know, we'd have to check the replay to be 100% certain.
Oh, these mutas would be demoralizing if I am DNS, and I think this is what Vanya was going for. I was questioning a little bit the roach attack. I don't think it was particularly cost efficient, but it definitely took my mind off his spire, and if I'm watching his spire, then it definitely probably took out DNS's mind off of the potential for Muta if he was even aware of it. So,
well, he shuts down the Stargate. Yeah, he shuts down the Stargate, and you know the problem with the Archons, right? They're dummy thick. They can't go through the wall. Like, he can't send the Archons back into his main base without using the Prism or Recall. So he's just going to try and do this counterattack. But that's a lot of Ravagers and Roaches.
It is, but it's his best shot, right? It's saying, hey, you know, that Muta army that you have, it's going to be useless here. I like the push here. I don't like him going back. I don't see how he wins going back.
Yeah.
So difficult.
No, he's just going to get picked apart forever. He's got one Phoenix to try and save the game, and the burrowed roaches shut down the Stargate again, because he's just had that available to him forever. And then how do you even take the time to try and get out stable detection like observers when you're desperately chrono boosting out immortals to try to deal with the insane number of roaches and ravagers on your doorstep? His meat shield's gone, by the way. It's just the Archons now with the immortals. There's not a lot of zealots here to tank anymore.
Yeah, and Vanya, even if he lost all of these roaches, he would be pretty happy to just trade because he's maxed and he can do this all day long. It's looking like all but over. Vanya will take the 2-1 over DNS. No chance, Jose.
Yeah, he did a beautiful job, really. Picked him apart in this game. Just absolutely.